Hi, everyone. So, we have a unique partnership with Akamai, and one of the key challenges that customers face today when they enable AI code assistants like GitHub Copilot or Cursor and stuff like that, then the amount of code changes is growing so fast. And these changes are actually having 10x more vulnerabilities than before. And then they reach production, and someone needs to govern them, someone needs to fix them. So what we actually did, we connect to all of your software supply chain across design phase, development phase, build, runtime, where we connect to Akamai and to your manual pen testing and stuff like that. And then we actually understand the software architecture. We enrich it with risk factors. We help you prioritize and remediate. And then we developed an AI agent for application security. This AI agent is embedded seamlessly into the IDE, so you don't need to install any plugins. It's only an MCP connection, and then from the IDE, you can query if you have APIs that are deployed and not behind a WAF or without a compensating control, and then fix it in the code. So we tie an alert or an API in runtime to the line of code of this RESTful API, and we fix it with your own security controls, with your own authentication, authorization, or input validation frameworks in the code. So the developer doesn't need to go to other consoles and get the runtime context and the organizational policy in one place. One more thing is that one of the problems that we found out, like Akamai and Apiiro, is that it takes, for one API security alert, around 45 minutes to an hour to identify who is the code owner that can fix the API in runtime. So we tie it back automatically. We understand who is the code owner, and then we open a pull request with the fix to the developer. And this expedites from the remediation process from hours right now to seconds. So you can close the backlog, and if you have an incident in runtime, you can fix it much faster, and you don't need to wait for cycles of asking and sending Slack messages or asking around. The autofix agent is embedded, as I said, in the IDE without a plugin, which is a big problem that you need to deploy plugins across so many IDEs. And then for every scanner, you need different plugin. So we take all the scanners, and you have one interaction with the developer with one language, one policy, and in a very consistent way. And then if you also need to manage the risk, for example, to ask for a risk acceptance to go to production, you can do it seamlessly from the IDE. So in some cases, the risk acceptance is in ServiceNow or in a third-party system. You don't need to do that. The agent, the AI agent for AppSec, will do that automatically. And this will expedite the releases while reducing the risk and fixing SAST findings, open source findings, secrets findings, and API security findings in code. This is an example of an alert from Akamai on 3 different APIs in runtime. How this works, just a second. Never mind. So you can see an alert from Akamai, 3 APIs. Our technology, the deep code analysis technology, mapped the runtime finding to the line of code of this API. And then by identifying the material changes of this API, we know who is the code owner for that. and we know if he's still in the organization or not. We know which team, and we can automatically interact with him without asking anyone. We enrich the finding from Akamai with your business context. Like, this application is PCI compliant with high business criticality, so we dynamically calculate the risk of the API based on the business impact. And then from the code asset inventory, we found an implementation of a security control in the code in a different place on the code. So we're actually saying this is not something that you need to fix, and building trust with developers. It's not only what you need to fix, but also what you don't need to fix, okay? And this is all the context from code to runtime embedded in the developer IDE without installing the developer anything on his computer. It's just an MCP connection, very simple JSON file, and it's interact with the Apiiro application security platform. What we see is an exponential growth of the code changes, the pace of coding in commits and larger pull requests, which are much more complex to review from the moment you use AI code assistant. And then you see 50% of the code that is written by an AI coding assistant is actually vulnerable and reach production. So you need security control in the code, you need security control in runtime, and you need them to connect to each other. Just 3 weeks ago, Citibank said that they're enabling on 40,000 software developers the usage of AI code assistant, GitHub Copilot in this case. It means 3 to 4x more commits. It means many, many vulnerabilities that will reach production, and today you don't have a way to govern your AI coding assistant, because the AI coding assistant sees only the code and not the code to runtime matching, the code to runtime context. And this is the outcome. An AI agent that deleted a whole code base, and without governing and identifying it, the risk will just keep coming. So what is Apiiro? Apiiro is an application security platform with an auto-fix agent. And this agent connects to Akamai, understand what is the policy, understand the guardrails, understand the attacks, connect to the code, connect to the organizational policy, and reach the auto-fixes with your own security policy and secure guiding principles. And then behind the technology, behind the scenes, the deep code analysis technology that we developed, okay, actually connects without connecting to the CI/CD pipeline, without connecting to anything across all this very complex software supply chain. We just need to connect to your source control manager via API, to Akamai via API, and we do the matching. And we know that this API is in this code repo and in this code module, and who is the code owner to fix it. So this is just the technology behind the scenes. And any questions? Great. Thank you.